Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, you bet.
All right, good evening, everyone. It is August 10th, 2023. This is the Hideout Utah Town Council regular meeting and continued public hearing for a couple of items that are on the agenda tonight. This is an electronic meeting. Entirely electronic. There's no physical location. We are working, the town is working on, we're getting estimates now to put a Zoom room together so that we can start to have hybrid meetings with some in-person attendance available, probably October, maybe November, somewhere in there, we should have things in place. So we'll keep you posted. All right, let me do a roll call. Ralph Severini. You're here. I can see you, but I need you to state your name for the record.
That's because I was on
Here.
mute, but I am here.
Yes. Good. Thank you, Ralph. Bob Nadelberg.
For the record, Bob Nadelberg is here.
Thank you. Chris Byer
Here.
and Carol. I see, I think you're on phone tonight, so hopefully you can unmute. If not, I think it's, what is it, Alicia, for her?
Star 6.
Star 6, Carol, if you haven't unmuted.
Now, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, I'm here.
Oh, thank you. And Sherry is excused. She's got a conflict tonight, can't be here. Okay. Next item on the minutes is approval of the council minutes of February 9th. I have reviewed them and feel that they cover the content adequately, but I'll open it for council if you have any upgrades to the minutes.
At the my end.
Silence as acceptance. You're getting better at this, Alicia.
Thanks.
Um,
Trying to get caught up.
apparently. Yeah, that's the next step. Okay, and then that's the case, I need a motion from someone to approve the minutes of February 9th, 2023 Town Council minutes.
So moved.
I'll
Thank
second.
you. Thank you, Carol. Okay, Ralph,
Yes.
yes for the minutes. Okay, Chris? You're on mute.
Yes.
Thank you, Chris. Carol
Yes.
and Bob.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, minutes are approved. Great. Next item on the agenda is any follow-up items related to the minutes. I did note, and Tim's on, so that's good. We said we were going to do a emergency drill at some point. And when we did this in February, we decided to wait till the weather was better. And I assigned that to Tim. So Tim, I'm reminding you that you're on the hook for that.
Okay, sounds good. I haven't forgotten. Now that we got some things out of the way, it's we can move it up to a higher priority.
Thank you. That was my follow-up item from the minutes. Anyone else have any follow-up items from the minutes they want to bring up?
There were a couple of things there, Bill, and communication committee. Did we roll that in to another committee, or where does that stand?
That Sherry was with that, and she's not with us tonight, Ralph, so I'm not sure. Jan, do you know?
Actually, Alicia, I think you volunteered according to the minutes, so maybe you know if there was any activity. Just curious. because it was part of the ending session there, I think.
I'm so sorry. I was sending the meeting link to Katie and I didn't hear what was said. I'm so sorry.
We're just kind of talking, Alicia, about the minutes, and in towards the end of the minutes, we talked about improving our communications with the town and having a communications committee. You volunteered.
Oh.
Since Sherry's not here, was there any activity on that?
Yeah, so we are, with our communications committee, we have decided that we're not using social media. I believe that Mayor put that email out the other day, just as a reminder. We're just trying to focus on the Poly app, the town app, which they have sent out updated it, and I think it's much more robust now. We're getting a lot more users each month. It seems we're getting more users. And so I was going to do some I don't want to say propaganda, but I was going to put some flyers out at the concert to try and get more users, but we didn't have time to get those printed up, unfortunately. So
That's a great idea. Maybe just put a sign up by the booth there,
Yep, exactly. So, and then as far as like the website, we're just kind of waiting on budget approval. And I think once we get that done, then we'll really start honing in on the website and getting it more refined and more organized and things like that. So that's kind of our plans.
Thank you, Alicia.
You bet.
Ralph, you said there were a couple things, so that was one.
Well, can I just add a thing about the communication committee? I thought you mentioned like
Sure. Chris.
doorknob hang tags or something.
Yeah.
That we could do to just try to get more
Yeah.
adoption. And I don't know, did the committee actually form and meet? Or is this like informal things that are happening amongst the staff?
So we kind of just narrowed it down to just me, Jan, and Carol to be on this communications committee. I was kind of talking with the person that Sherry recommended, but we just hadn't, because we decided we're just going to go with the Poly app, and we really should be mindful of posts, that we should really just kind of keep it internal. So, but again, we're kind of waiting for budget approval final to get the website updated. And I think that'll just kind of stick with me, Jan and Carol, to map that out.
It's also a newsletter that's going around that I've been trying to contribute to as much as I can with ideas, but so that's another communication channel we have active.
Sherry had a discussion in her committee meeting about this topic, and particularly on topic with the Poly app. And there was some discussion that people didn't want yet another app. And we need to follow up on that to further define what would be a benefit to the town in terms of communication within that outreach committee.
I guess I find it weird about that statement about another app, given that everything we do is app driven these days. But okay, I don't think we should not use an app just because some people don't choose to. That's why we have multiple mechanisms. We have the website, we have newsletter, we have an app. I think that's, I think we're covering the bases a few different ways. So I think we need to keep. I think our biggest challenge is doing a better job on creating content. So that's, my 2 cents for the committee or team is, let's figure out how there's a lot of stuff going on with the town. We can do a better job sharing that. With a little bit more work. So that's my challenge for you guys.
maybe we all should have a writing task in front of us, like, we all contribute at a certain point in time, something that's, think about that.
We have these, we have various committees. Chris has been very active, and I appreciate that, Chris. I think you brought some great ideas up in your notes to Carol. But yeah, I mean, let's think about the challenge for each of you as committee leads is to figure out what messages you want to send and make sure that we get them out there. Because not everybody can attend a council meeting where we do the updates. So, and not everybody, and the minutes aren't always instantaneously available. So, if we have things we want to share, let's get them out there. Sorry, Chris, you or Ralph, you were going somewhere next.
I had one more
Did we get-
thing, if we go off that, but it has to do with Carol. Carol's not here. You're on the phone, but there were some things within your topic, Carol, if you remember, regarding potential for a parking solution, alternate means of transit, those kinds of things. Maybe next time you can, when you're in person, you can, comment on those and you're not driving around.
I'm not driving. My computer shut down.
Ah,
So I'm not driving, and I'm still working on transportation. I'm still trying to figure out and talk to the city about what they're going to do at Richardson Flat. I mean, I was going to report on that in my committee meeting if we had time, but I mean, what exactly do you want to know, Ralph?
there were some things in there which might be useful to comment on when the transportation committee comes up later in the session, if we get to that. Or a suggestion was made to consider running direct buses, et cetera. And there was a couple of things in there, Carol, that you might want to comment on when you have a chance.
Okay, will do. Okay.
So I should have mentioned at the beginning, and my bad, I didn't. We are under a time constraint tonight. We absolutely have to stop at no later than 5:59. Because the truth and taxation meeting has to happen at 6. And any items that are not covered tonight will be moved on to next month's meeting. Or unless we decide we want to have an extra meeting sometime. So those are the two choices. But for those of you who aren't aware, there's been a state code adjustment around truth and taxation, which says that you're not allowed to have a meeting after the truth and taxation meeting on the same day. So we modified the time tonight to get some of the content in, but we may or may not get through it all. But we'll try. Okay. Next item is update on Golden Eagle subdivision. We are, I don't know, we're giving out building permits. People are starting work on their homes. There are some questions that have been asked about COs. We don't have anybody ready for a CO yet, since people just started building homes. That's probably a year away at the earliest, just given the time it takes to build a house. But and there are a couple of systems in Golden Eagle which are being considered to be operated by the district, and the district has the legal right to do that. Those of you who don't know what the district is, if you look at your tax bill, you'll see a Hideout District 1. That's the district. And we are in discussions with them around whether or not they plan to operate any of the infrastructure up there. So that has to get sorted out. Again, given that the first CO is a year away or longer, we have time to do that. And we'll figure out after that decision what else has to be done. Cameron, that's what I'm looking for. Do you have anything to add to that besides what I said?
Nope, I think that captures it all.
Okay. Next item is public input. Floor open for any attendee to speak on items not on the agenda. The way you do that is you do the raise your hand functionality. If you're on a phone, it's *9. And we'll see that. Okay. Have a hand up from Damien, so go ahead, Damien.
Hey, good
You
evening.
may ask.
You hear
Yeah,
me?
go ahead. Yes, we can.
So obviously you just addressed my concern on Golden Eagle, but the issue that I have is if we wait until CO to find out that the infrastructure is not been deemed complete or substantially complete, then we're going to get into the situation that you just had with your last settlement. And so I guess I'm trying to be proactive and helpful and find out exactly what's going on. I know that you're meeting with the district and you posted or was posted a letter on the website that really basically just said you're going to follow the law, so it really didn't say anything. So I guess how do we get a determination letter of what is accepted or not accepted so far, and how do we get that formal document?
I don't know. I can tell you where we stand. I don't know, Cameron, I don't know if there is, do we do formal documents? We do, I guess if we accept, we turn over, we can certainly share that with you. The water system in phase 1 is accepted. The other phases are still being built out, so they're not. In fact, everything in the other phases are not. But phase 1 is there. If the town were to be asked to operate the sewer system, there are some deficiencies in that design as it stands today, and we would not accept it as is. Well, for a certain number of units only, and then we get into trouble just because of the design. It needs a couple of upgrades there. So we can take a certain, I don't know what the engineers will have to tell me what the numbers are. We can take a certain number of units on the current system, and then we need to do some upgrades. So we'll see how that works out. And then we're still sorting out the design on the stormwater system. So those are the two that I'm aware of that we would not accept as of today, Mr. Tacano.
Thank you.
And then we're working on them.
Yeah, and I appreciate it, and I know that Mustang's working on it too. I'm trying to, not wait until the very end, and then because you have, 10, 15 people that are going to be ready, like
Yep.
you said, in about a year,
Yeah,
that I'm just trying to not have that problem.
no, it makes good sense.
Yeah, the last one was the roads, and I know that Mustang did finally pave Golden Eagle Road. And then the issue with the shoulders, I don't know if the shoulders are still an issue, or have you guys accepted the roads?
They haven't turned them over to the town yet, and nor do they, because of till a certain percentage of the whole subdivision, is built out. But the roads are there's still some more work to do on the shoulders, but there's not things there that I would not hold back a CO for at the moment.
Okay, so from what, just make sure that we're on the same page. Basically the roads and the water are accepted. I know that the road still needs some shoulders, and then the sewer, because of some design and it's longer than 400 feet to manhole. I think that's the main issue on the sewer, and that's the one that you're working out with the district. So if the district's going to operate it, or if you're going to operate it, that's what you're trying to figure out.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then as far as the stormwater plan, is there any way to know if Mustang actually submitted the stormwater plan that was in their lawsuit a couple months ago, and has that been reviewed and approved, the actual document, or yet?
At the last version I knew of, I don't know, Tim, do you know the status of where those drawings are? Are they back with them to do upgrades? I think they were,
Yep, they've received comments and then they haven't returned back anything.
Is that from February or from May, Tim?
Whenever we sent the comments.
So that's still the May, that's still the February comments? Because we know that we all saw a May document that was in the lawsuit that was much better than the February one, but that one hasn't been formally submitted yet.
Again, we've only received one set of one
Okay.
submittal that we made comments on. And we've returned back to the developer's engineer and we have not received anything since.
Sounds good. I think I understand. And I appreciate you giving us that information, Mayor. And I guess all I can do is continue to keep asking. I don't mean to bug you, but obviously it's.
well, I mean,
Yeah.
I think, what we do is we have this on here every month, and if there's new infrastructure that's been accepted, we'll certainly tell you. Or
Okay.
if the district if that's been sorted out, we'll tell you as part of those updates. So I think you'll find we're trying to be as transparent as we can with that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other hands? I don't see any. All right, then I'm going to close public input and move to agenda items. So Cameron, I'm going to let you talk about this one. I'm supportive, but I don't have all the background, so I'm going to let you talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Mayor. So this was a result of some discussion about short-term rentals and whether or not the regulations are sufficient with people coming in from out of town that aren't familiar with, the area or how to evacuate and what needs to be required within the units. And so what we were tasked with was to update the ordinance to require an inspection and approval from the inspection by the health department and from the fire department. And so this language just adds those on, and essentially what the health department is inspecting to make sure that the property complies with the health department regulations for public accommodations, and same as the fire department. And so they'll have the separate standards for that with the building code and the health department code. They'll inspect the properties and they'll give a certificate of inspection, and then the property owner will have to include that with part of their application or amending their application with that inspection.
Well, I think that makes good sense. I know, we rent Airbnbs and VRBOs and stuff like that. And some places we go to have a great notebook with all that information and, emergency numbers and blah, blah, blah. And some places we go to have nothing. So I think it's great that we add these items, particularly, given that there are already some sections of Hideout that have overnight rentals.
Are you taking questions, Cameron?
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
for
course.
sure.
So what is entailed in the inspection by Wasatch County and or the municipal health departments? And by the way, we don't have a health department in Hideout.
Yeah, that was my addition in case we get to the point where we have that, so we don't have to increase. And so right now, the Wasatch County Health Department is the health department that's relevant. But if in the event that we wanted to bring that in-house and have our own, we could do that. It really is specific to each county's code and what they require for the inspection. And so we're simply just saying we want the properties that are engaged in public accommodation to comply with that. I'm a little more familiar with the fire department. That's going to be like evacuation routes, the windows in bedrooms, are they large enough for people to exit, fire alarms, fire extinguishers, all that kind of stuff. And so I really honestly don't know what the specifics are, but we could certainly get a copy of both of those set of requirements and post them on the town's website.
Well, I'd like to see them now before we pass this regulation. And then the other thing is the requirement to have a property management company that can respond in 30 minutes.
And by the way, Alicia's
that's
hands
it.
up. Alicia, is it important?
Yeah, that was something
Yeah.
that we passed a while ago about the property management company. And I think that Polly, if I recall, Polly said that a lot of Park City ones do it, same thing. Yeah, that one we're really not changing much.
Yeah, that's even in our MBAs.
Yep, exactly. So I was going to say, I do have a copy of what the fire department requires, and I'd be happy to send that to you really quickly. And then the county, I know with them, they do, especially like if there's a pool, they actually come out and test, hot tubs, pools. Obviously, we don't have too many pools in Hideout, but definitely hot tubs to make sure that the pH balance and things are right in the pool. Anyway, I'm just trying to pull it up right now. I can hurry and send what I have to you if you'd like.
Well, the one thing that I don't see here is the time frame. So I wouldn't want to pass this as is or vote on it as is anyway, because to the list, to address that point, I'm looking at Park City sites and they do have list on site, but they also require annual inspections. So a yearly, for instance, we have nothing in here which indicates, repeats or time frame. So people sell their places, they can go, one owner may keep things up and one owner may not. So that's why I'm looking at.
It's a good ad, Ralph. We should say they required annually. Yeah. I like that
Yeah,
position.
and that's it. That's what Park City if you just go to their site, they've got all their stuff posted and they have an annual review. So that makes sense to me.
So I can speak to the timing a little bit, Ralph, and I think we can just add that in the top sentence to require annually. The language is that it's required to obtain it and hold it, and to obtain it, you have to submit an application, and so that would be whenever their application is submitted, they would have to pass this inspection, and then the license is renewed annually, and so they would have to have that inspection upon renewal. And so to obtain it is on application and to hold it is on renewal. But it certainly is nothing wrong with adding in the annually in front of all that language, and we can make that addition.
Is there urgency for us to, vote on this tonight? Like, because I'm looking at the time and I think we have some pretty important other stuff as well. Is there urgency for that, Cameron and Mayor?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Like, could
I mean,
we?
we have nightly rentals already, so we don't want to let it go too long, but yeah.
But I mean, it just because of the time constraints tonight. I mean, I think we could have a further discussion, and it would be nice to make the adjustments here and also get a copy of what's entailed for both fire department inspection as well as the health department, Washington County Health Department inspection. Before we pass it, I just like to see what it is.
And it would be interesting to see if anybody has any comments. So that would further extend our conversation here. If we
Exactly.
open it up. So I agree. And I think this, this ordinance matches up with what we want to do next, which is the the overlay, the nightly rental overlay. So they kind of go together. And I think aren't we holding that off until next meeting?
Okay. Well, Cameron, if you take the lead to make the adjustments you heard tonight and work with Alicia to get the data for the inspections, that'd be great.
Yep, for sure.
Thank you. All right, next item. And this is contingent on passing the budget, which hasn't happened yet. But given the time of year it is, we've sent out for bids for road repairs. And we have the bid that we have selected is for $342,000. I think our budget has $320,000 in it. Can you, I don't know, Katie, can you confirm that? Oh, can you
Yes,
make Katie?
yes, it has about 320 something thousand. But we have some other line items that could be used for the remainder.
So I'm going to work with Tim to to see if we can't, knock 10 or 15,000 out of this, put some stuff off to get it closer to the budget number, and then move it forward. I would prefer not to wait until the September meeting because I want to get these guys lined up and get the work done before the snow that already was in the Uintas starts making its way downhill. So, so I'd like to try and ask for you to a motion to approve me to execute an agreement in an amount not to exceed the budget amount for the repair of maintenance and roads within Hideout. Assuming the budget passes.
So moved.
Wait, hold on a second. Just a quick question. Ralph, well, I mean, if somebody wants.
No,
to
go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead. Mayor,
I
I
have a
know,
question, yeah.
I know the calendar with asphalt, right? They're not going to do my driveway after the first week in September, right? And you're saying that the asphalt preservation company says they can work through till October 15th?
Tim will have to answer that one. They're already mobilized in Heber, so they're going to take us on. So we anticipate being able to get this done between now and October, end of October.
Correct. That's correct, Mayor.
We're not going to do your driveway.
And along the lines that Mayor said, if I may, Mayor, one thing that we can consider, and I know you had sent a email to council about possible removals of speed bumps, we could actually remove that speed bumps and have them taken out of that bid, which will reduce that down some significant amount, also along with reducing a different linear feet maybe in an area that we may have done last year that's still in great shape. So we can actually adjust this down a little bit, 10% roughly is the number, to accommodate to fit in the budget, whether it's removal of speed bumps or not servicing an area that we did last year that's still in great shape.
Well, plus there'll have to be some kind of contingency, right? It's just an estimate. Right, Tim?
Yeah. Yeah, it is just an estimate.
Yep, Mayor's
And
correct.
we will give them a not to exceed and agree on what work they can do and to not exceed, the budget amount.
Okay.
And
All right.
I know we're moving through this quickly, but it's a lot of money. So I just want to reconfirm with Katie, we budgeted 320. So the 341,997 would be the excess that we might have to pick up. Am I correct on understanding what your comments are on that?
It'll be an extra 20 grand, but I need to sit with Tim and just make sure, because when I look through some of the other line items in his budget, like the chip seal and the slurry seal and a few other things, especially the speed bumps, we already have some additional dollars in there. So I think once Tim and I sit together and go through that, it'll be within the 20 grand. I think one of the things, Ralph, and I'll point it out in the truth and taxation, is the prior budget, when we had looked at this, it was resurfacing, and per the Utah codes, that would have been capitalizable. But we went back, and once we got all the bids, we saw it was for a lot of things that needed to be expensed. So unfortunately, our budget, you'll see shortly, will have deteriorated by this 250,000 because we didn't have it in the previous budget because we thought it was capitalizable. But since it will not extend the useful life and it is not considered resurfacing per se, it has to be expensed. So I think we should be okay.
I guess, Katie, I'm going to push back. I mean, the reason we do this is to extend the useful life. It's to keep us from resurfacing.
Yeah, but the state website specifically says maintenance to roads such as chip seal, pothole repair, slurry seal, and other projects identified as maintenance must be expensed. Projects such as road overlays that significantly improve the life of the road would be capitalized. So I can go back to state auditors because I specifically looked at that, assuming when I first got it, it said resurfacing and I thought it was an overlay. So we did it as the capitalizable item. But once I got all the detail from Tim, it was very clear per the state guidance that for all streets, roads, and other components, it had to be expensed.
I will take it as a note to go back to our auditor and just reconfirm that because I took that off the Utah website.
And Ralph, I'm saying we're not going to exceed the budget amount should the budget pass.
That's what I heard you say, but I was a little confused on that, so, because it sounded
No,
like.
she's saying it's possible that the budget could suck it up, and I'm saying I'm not gonna ask it to.
Okay. Well, my other comment along the same lines are, you guys did it looks like you negotiated down from the 400,000+ quote down to this quote. But we only got one bidder. And so it's hard to know how good things are. I'm just going to suggest that next year, wherever we can, we try to get ahead of this, so that we either have some competitive bids and, maybe answers a little bit sooner.
Yeah, Councilman, and we did put it out to bid on the state website. We gave it almost a month lead time per the requirements for the Utah procurement. And we only received one bid, unfortunately. And Mayor kind of alluded to it briefly, and I talked to him a little bit about it this afternoon, is a lot of the companies are actually doing Heber, and they went for Heber. And so our times are conflicting with Heber's, to be quite honest. So they felt like they couldn't commit to both places. And so Asphalt Preservation felt like they could. And then also, honestly, our amount of roads and linear feet and square footage that we had to put in the bid, a lot of the big companies who do this, it's too small for them. And so that's kind of where we're at. But again, next year, absolutely, or whenever we do this in 5 years over again, we'll make sure we give it, follow the rules for procurement and posting. And then hopefully we'll definitely give it some time to make sure we have adequate bidders, hopefully. And we actually sent it out to over 300 the proposal went out to over 300 people on the state website. So it's unfortunate we only received one, but we are grateful we did receive one.
Tim, let me ask you a question. If we had put this bid out in February, for example, not in the summer when everyone's already busy and they've made their commitments, would we be getting a better response? And would we have the opportunity to have competitive bids?
Hard to say, because again, just based on the size of the amount of work that we want to have done, most of these companies who have this type of slurry and coating and sealing, they're big, and so it's really hard to say. I don't know the answer to that. I would think maybe not, but I just don't know the answer.
Any opportunity to combine our bids with somebody else?
That's a good question. I don't know the rules if that could be done. So I probably don't want to say anything because I don't know if that's even allowed. I'm sure it may be. I mean, I don't see why it couldn't be, but
it would be proximity based. So we'd have to get either, Wasatch County doing stuff up here, and we could check with Wasatch County. I think that's worth doing. Or
don't know if it's possible, but maybe we get
some of the private places.
Ralph,
anything that's gated.
I feel like right now, because it's almost mid-August, we either have to do this or not do this.
Oh, totally.
We don't have any time.
Yeah. No, I'm going to vote that we move this ahead. I'm just suggesting that we have some better idea about how we go about this in the future, if we can.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree, and I think the important thing that Mayor said earlier too is that if we can take care of this now, we will not hopefully have to worry about things like this, moving forward for the next 5 years in regards to
this size of a job. I mean, we're gonna have to do crack seal.
Yes, crack.
We shouldn't have to do chip seal.
Correct.
We shouldn't have to do chip seal after this one, because if you remember, we did chip seal either last year or 2 years ago for the south side of Hideout.
Yep.
And so now we're looking at the north side and Soaring Hawk. So
Mayor, I remember last time there were some complaints, people got that stuff on their cars and et cetera. I think we had some issues where people were driving on it before it was ready or something like that. I mean,
Yep.
we had some damage. We're going to call it damage as a result to vehicles.
Yeah,
Correct.
we have to do a better job communicating on that for sure, because you can drive on it. You just can't go your usual speeds because you kick up that stuff and it gets tar on your, undercarriage and side of your car if you're not careful. So we gotta do a better job with that.
So I'm not gonna hold this up. I'm all ready to move this ahead. What do you need, Mayor?
Need a motion to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Asphalt Preservation in an amount not to exceed the budget amount should it pass for the repair and maintenance of roads within Hideout.
So moved.
Second.
Bob, you were the second, I think.
Yep.
Yep, thanks. All right, Carol,
Yes.
thank you. Chris,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
and Ralph.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm watching the time. We still have 10 minutes. So the next one is speed bump location. So I mean, I mentioned and I sent you all an email. I've got a portion of the town that wants the speed bumps taken out. I got a portion of the town that wants speed bumps put in because people drive too fast. I'm personally in favor, as I mentioned in my note, that the inconvenience of a speed bump is minor compared to the potential damage that can come from a speeding driver. And so, we've got speed signs, we've got more speed signs going in, but unfortunately, they don't always have the intended effect. Some people like to see if they can outrace the speed sign, unfortunately, amongst other things. So I would like to get council input. So on whether or not you see value in keeping them or taking them out, or I don't know. I can't come up with a compromise. I mean, we can move them some because some people would like to see them in different places. We can get the traffic guys to tell us where it's best to do that. But
Mayor, the folks that don't want the speed bumps, did they give you a reason?
I'm trying to recall in their message.
Mainly, Mayor, if I remember, and I don't have the message in front of me, but just going off of memory, the reason was this access during the winter and the accumulation of snow at that point.
Don't these things come out in the winter or they stay in?
No, they stay in.
Okay, so like they did this past winter and then they get damaged by the plow and stuff.
Well,
And-
yeah, we would do something different. Those speed tables did not work as we had anticipated. So if we put speed bumps in, they'll be more traditional.
There'll be the
less
asphalt.
speed table.
I remember there used to be a temporary one before there was a permanent one down by the golf ghetto. And
Yeah, I mean, there are temporary ones, Chris, unfortunately. They work one season, then you have to drill all new holes and so forth because the holes get full of junk and when you take them out for pinning them in, and then you have to patch. So they're not super sustainable. I mean, they're great in Florida or someplace like that, but they're not so good here.
well, I think the purpose would be to take them out during the winter months, when there's.
Yeah, I
plowing.
understand. So we can do that once and then we have to sort of re-drill them and everything else. So it's, and then we have to patch the old holes, et cetera. Because
Mayor,
they're very hard to keep clean, so.
Okay, Mayor,
winter.
could I please speak? This is Carol, and part
Yeah.
of the issue is the noise. It makes a horrendous noise that almost echoes, and I can speak to that because I just live kind of kitty corner above one. And all of us in Shoreline 1 who are asking for the speed bump to be removed. And have an issue with that noise. It's not just the noise of a vehicle going over it. Then there's this after effect noise that kind of goes to the bump afterwards. And it is really annoying, and you can actually hear it in the winter time when all our windows are shut and our doors are shut. So that was one of the things that we were asking for. Was, is it possible to get a smaller one or a different one that doesn't vibrate so much or make that noise? I mean, are there other kinds of speed bumps that could be put in, or could they be put in at the beginning and the ending of Shoreline Drive before we get to the residences?
Mayor, and just so council members know, as part of the roadway item that we just talked about, this new speed bumps will be all asphalt, FYI. So, and they will be not like the one down by the golf course maintenance shed. They'll be a little bit longer and a little bit longer in length and width. And so it should reduce some of the sound. It should make it easier for our maintenance with our snow plows in the winter. Snow shouldn't accumulate on it like it does, because it will have a chance to be pushed up over. It's going to have a little hump to it. So it will be a long-term asphalt speed bump.
I guess, Carol, I think you bring up a couple good points. And we put them where we put them on the Shoreline Road because we wanted to slow people down in front of the homes where people have, where they're using the outside of their homes, where they have dogs, if they're kids, grandkids, whatever, visiting, that kind of thing. And so, my concern, I'm more than willing to put them at the beginning of the road, by the intersection with Longview and Shoreline, and another one down, after, or Deerwaters or whatever. But I don't know if it gives us the effect that we need of slowing down in between the raceways. So I think, if we want to, if you're willing to consider having speed bumps, continuing to have speed bumps, I think we would get the traffic experts. We have contracted with traffic experts in the past for traffic studies to have them come in and look at our road system and make the recommendations about where they should go instead of us speculating. That's just my thought, is to get some pros to come in and tell us where are they most likely to have the best effect, and what are the options from a noise perspective.
Hey, Mayor, also, if that traffic consultant, they may offer alternatives, right? For example, maybe stop signs instead, or some kind of traffic calming dividers or narrowing, rather than the speed bump.
Yeah.
So I was thinking over by Carol's house, could be a three-way stop instead of a speed bump, maybe achieve the same thing. And down in Shoreline at Overlook, could do a way stop.
Yeah, Shoreline recreation, Shoreline, yeah.
I mean, it's
thought.
possible to do something like that,
Yeah.
maybe. But I think wouldn't a traffic expert bring those options to us, so we wouldn't be locked into just one solution?
Yeah, they would. I think they would. I think that's fine. I think we ought to get some advice on how do we deal with the fact that we have people driving too quickly through the populated portions of town.
Yep.
the-
I've seen those traffic narrowing strategies in other neighborhoods. To slow people down, they'll put a landscaped divider in or something, and it'll slow you down.
Yeah, and
Yep.
Chris, when I met with our consultant to talk about some of the potential speed bump asphalt replacement, one of the first things that we talked about was, well, is do we really want to do this? There are other ways, like you've mentioned, some dividers, some chicanes, some narrowing that we could put in place instead that would have a similar desired effect. So we do have someone and a consultant on board who can help us with that already.
I think it's worth, if we also are not time constrained on this, it's worth doing a little bit more work and coming back in the next council meeting.
Yeah, I just teed it up to let the community know that we're here, we hear them, and we're thinking about it, and we're trying to figure out what we can do, because we still want to protect people. So.
Right, I would agree. I think we need to help people drive slower.
No.
Yes.
All right,
And
again,
on this topic,
parks-
I know we only have a couple of minutes, so we're probably not going to go. Could we have someone, if we do hire someone, could we widen the scope of their review of some of our roads, some of our key roads on speed bumps? Because I think, town's growing quickly, so we might want to look at some other areas as well, rather than just paying them for one section of one road within one area.
No, I was planning to look at Longview from the Rustler end to the corner, and then Shoreline to the state park. That's the main drag and
Yeah.
driveway.
Good, gotcha.
Okay, so I just want to mention that this was there were public hearing items on here that that are not being discussed tonight, which are listed down below, which is a new zoning designation and short-term rental overlay. Those items are being deferred to a date certain, which is September 14th at 6 p.m., our next regular council meeting. We're going to have to skip the rest of the items because we have to stop. So I have to actually end this meeting, and then we all log back in and start a new meeting for truth and taxation. I need a motion for us to do that, please, from someone.
So moved.
Motion.
I'll
Thank you.
second.
Thank you, Carol. All right. Bob,
Aye.
thank you. Ralph,
Yes.
thank you. Carol,
Yes.
thank you. And Chris,
Yes.
thank you. All right, meeting is over, but not over. Please, again, sorry, folks, I actually have to end the meeting by the rules and start it all over again. So please, you are going to get knocked off. And then if you want to participate in truth and taxation, you log back in. Thanks.